Nightwing issue 90. I have to check what number it was. Tom Taylor writing with Geraldo Borges on the art. So, not Redondo. Obviously, he just did the 2 crossover issues, so he had to take a little bit of time
Nothing
off.
against this artist, but that's the biggest flaw. It's not Redondo.
I do miss Redondo. There's some truth to that.
Still in the art, and this is pretty good.
It's not bad.
Tonally is consistent.
Yeah. So this is more of the Get Grayson stuff. Blockbuster's hired a group of assassins to go after Dick. He wants him dead so much that this group are just going to like basically destroy the entire city block to get to Dick Grayson. So his sister warns him right before it happens. So he dings the fire alarm and evacuates the building. He's grabbing the dog. He's running out. Some nice stuff of him running down the stairs and like giving the dog to a neighbor so he can go save the guy who's deaf who doesn't sleep with a hearing aid in. Which leads to a lot of comedy because the guy's like, "You're stealing my hearing aid. You're a hearing aid thief."
It's very Spider-Man. I feel like Spider-Man coming in there to save somebody that can't hear to hear him telling him to get out and thinks he's being robbed. I love that aspect.
Yeah, you said about a lot of this run, right?
Yeah, and then of course, I'd say there's more Daredevil and Spider-Man, but I think the comparison of Spider-Man and Nightwing's always been there. I think. Yeah. Out of anyone in the Bat family, Nightwing's the one you compare to Spider-Man the most. But there's a lot of stuff with after he jumps out the window with this deaf guy, and then he's like, "This guy stole my hearing aid. He broke it in my apartment, and then he blew it up." And he's like, "Well, I admit that the sequence of events is a bit suspicious, but that's not quite what happened."
Dear old Wally shows up to save the day.
Well, Wally, yeah, he hears. He wakes up. Linda's phone dings. He finds out and he speeds off immediately to go and see if his friend's all right, and even hurts himself moving all the rubble out the way. But of course, Nightwing's fine because he went out the window. And the big thing here, all on the heartwarming Wally Dick kind of reunion stuff, is that Dick Grayson was last seen racing in to save someone, and then the building blew up. So he's kind of presumed dead to a point. And Wally suggests maybe you shouldn't let people know that Dick's okay for a little bit and let people think he's dead.
I think that's going to be interesting because it means he's going to have to be Nightwing permanently for at least a few issues, I would think.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that'll just take a little bit of a toll on him.
It may, yeah, they might play with that a little touch. And Wally insists that Dick stay with him, so he speeds him back to his house in Keystone.
And goes back for the dog.
Yeah, it goes back for the dog. But there's some fun stuff here of interacting with Linda, the kids like staring at him when he wakes up, and making him some unsafe breakfast.
Bacon is the best kind. Everyone knows that.
Of course.
The kids. So, do you think this artist meant to make the kids looking over him as he wakes up unnecessarily creepy?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I obviously sometimes that can be a mistake, but I think in this case, the creepy kids just staring, waiting for him to wake up is 100% the intention.
Yeah. Also, I approve of the classic DC logo T-shirt that Dick's sleeping in.
This book has been killing it with that, and I did appreciate that continued in the crossover in the Superman issue as well. Yeah.
There is a little touch here is that basically they're kind of aware that there might be a mole in the villains group of the city because someone must have tipped Dick off, otherwise he wouldn't have had the warning. So that's obviously a thing. I got a really good chuckle actually out of Wally after Dick wakes up. He's like, "Okay, let's go do this. I'm going to help you. We're going to solve all these problems." And he shows him like basically the wall covered in the photos of all the villains with the strings and all that. And for some reason, the line, "I don't have a plan. I just have all these photos stuck in my wall," really made me laugh.
And I think it's the follow-up. It's a good start, is what got me.
So
but again, it's very Wally West and that I enjoy.
It's not the funniest line in the book though. I'll get there in a little bit.
No, but it's just very much he's like, "Look, we're gonna do all this." It's like, because he's the Flash and because he's so into the Speed Force, his actions move faster than his understanding of them does. So he just put all these on the wall, right? He's like, "I don't know what to do next," and it just
slow down to think about it. That's he didn't anti-Wally,
and it hits that their dynamic, because that whole part where Nightwing talks about, it's a good thing that my best friend is a speedster, it just really hits their dynamic.
Yeah, and then we cut to Gotham, and Babs is walking along the street.
Just before we go, can we talk about Wally being like, "I think I missed several key important details." When she's like, "Oh, my sister, she's the mayor." What the hell are you talking about?
Sister?
But we go to Gotham, and Babs is accosted by some men, and obviously plays along. She doesn't want to reveal that she knows how to fight crime or anything like that, so she sort of lets herself be kidnapped. But the line that cracked me up is she's got her secret comms and stuff, and says to Dick, "Yeah, I can get out of this, but two guys did just kidnap me." But the line that got me was, "They're after you, Nightwing. They fridged me to get to you."
It's official DC terminology now. Fridging.
Yep.
Well, fridging became this just wider thing that's used in media to talk about what happens when a character's killed.
It did start in a DC comic.
That's really weird.
Right.
Every time I think about this, it blows my mind. The Kyle Rayner Green Lantern book is what gave
a Kyle Rayner Green Lantern book, and then the term named by Gail Simone.
Yeah, yes. Which gave way to something that I have heard people talking about in movies, like fridging characters is something that's I've heard it used in movies that have nothing to do with DC characters or comics or anything.
Yeah, it became part of the greater pop culture.
Yeah, and it came from a Kyle Rayner Green Lantern comic. That's just really funny to me. But
it's the only thing of value that has ever come from a Kyle Rayner story.
You shut your mouth, you ginger whore. Dick's like, no, Bab, stay in the van. We'll find out where they go. Do a bit of recon sort of thing. So sure enough, they pull a bit of a switcheroo so that when they open the van, it's Dick and Wally, and it's KG Beast, who's one of the villains here, who's waiting for them. And there's a nice little touch. This is actually the final page, but Wally's basically, wait, KG Beast, that's the guy who shot you in the head, right? And he's like, yep. He's like, oh, a lot of our friends have been waiting to get our hands on you, and I'm so happy that I got to first. And that's the final page.
Was it just me that took this as a meta comment? As this is the person responsible for shooting Dick Grayson. And there's a long line of people for it.
Dare you have caused that Rick Grayson bullshit?
I can see what you're saying. I think there might be some intention there.
There's gotta be, because you could tell Tom Taylor loves the character, right? Like there's a lot of love for Dick Grayson put into these pages.
Yeah.
So, but we got to that Wally again. This is a Wally that before I had caught up to Flash, this had been like, oh, see, this is why we need a good Wally West book. We have a decent one right now. Helps that Taylor is such a good writer, right? That he hits the voice of the character so well.
I think just on the art suffers probably at its most when it's dealing with Wally.
Yeah.
Specifically Wally as the Flash. I think when he's just Wally is fine.
Yeah.
I think his Flash is a bit ugly.
The proportions on the costume are a little bit off.
Yeah.
Right? The earpieces feel small on that page.
I think he's mostly okay when he's just stood around talking, but whenever he's in motion as the Flash, which is kind of what you want the Flash to be,
I think
that's where it suffers.
Where it hurts for me is just the lack of some of the creativity. Because the page where he's coming down the stairs and he's on different floors in each panel talking to different neighbors, that was a sort of page where I went, oh, this is a really basic way to show this, when this book with Redondo has been so inventive and creative of showing him moving around the building and things like that. So I felt the lack of
back with the Superman issue from last week, and obviously that was Redondo, and that had there was a page relatively early on of Nightwing going up the side of a building.
Yes, that's where he backflips. He grapples and backflips up,
and it was absolutely stunning. I was like, yes, that is what Redondo brings to this book, and that no other artist is coming close to matching. And obviously that was in Superman, but it was essentially just the Nightwing story. Nothing else is coming close to it. Even these artists that are solid, this is perfectly decent. They're just not bringing that extra above and beyond flair that I don't know if anyone else can.
Yeah. So I mean that is kind of the one main critique I would have of this. But I love Wally caring about Dick. I love the continued sort of escalation of the attempts on his leg, because the first time was that big oneer, right? That was that issue, and then it's escalated to this point where they're just like, okay, the scalpel approach isn't working. Let's bust out the chainsaw, which is this assassin group. So it's escalated
they also
nicely.
Had the first attempt was when the Titan showed up to have his back.
True, yeah.
And then we had the oneer issue, and now this. And so
was that first or was that second? It doesn't really matter either way, I suppose. But
yeah. Wasn't the Titan issue before the single page?
I'm not sure it was.
I'm not sure. Yeah.
Oh shoot. Well, I like here though that the lady that lives in the building.
I'm certain it wasn't, because the Warner issue opens with them being like, "Hey, they're coming for you as Dick Grayson. Get out of there." that's what starts that issue off.
Hmm.
Well, I like here too that the relationships between the people in the building, because we've seen this lady before, right? But then the kids love the dog, so he gives them to her, and then you find out that she was the superintendent of the building, and she goes and talks to the commissioner, you would guess, of, or whoever he is on the police force in Bloodhaven, and we see that he's in Blockbuster's pocket.
Yeah, he's corrupt and warns them and stuff.
And so to see that all play out too, it's the story's being very well told. And then don't forget we have Heartless somewhere in the background too, with that thread going on.
I think that's what we're dealing with after this arc.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, the run's fired on all cylinders. I have very little to complain about.
Like we talk about how action is, a classic in the making. This one clearly is too.
Yeah, Nightwing and Action are the two books right now that are at the top. And there's a lot of other books I'm enjoying, but those are the two that are at that top where they're special.
Yeah.
So, no. Excellent stuff. All right, Matt, what are you giving Nightwing?
I'm giving this an 8.5.
Okay, Connor?
I'm probably going to agree with the 8.5, and it is just that art that holds it back from being anything higher.
Yeah, I think I'll be the third tier and say 8.5 as well. And the Redondo being on art probably would have elevated it even more. But hey, it is what it is.